Johnny Rock Show, Rockin' 101, The Rock Station.
Johnny Rock Show. Bernard MacMahon, director of the new documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, opens wide tomorrow, but it had the biggest opening of any, music movie in IMAX history. Congratulations, sir. It's a huge success. You should be proud.
Thank you very much. My mind is completely blown, I have to say.
Well,
I'm thrilled that people are going are responding to the film in this way.
Well, yeah, I got to tell you, Bernard. I'm old school. I've seen just about everybody in concert, but I never saw Led Zeppelin. I saw Page Plant. I saw Jason Bonham. But I never saw the actual Led Zeppelin. Are you finding that's the case with a lot of people going to the movie?
I mean, this is the thing that the audience are telling me when I see people coming out of the theaters. They say it's literally like I am in 1969 and I'm at these concerts. And I'm like traveling from England to America and across America, and I'm at these shows. And so, I mean, this is a thrill to being able to take the audience and make them feel like they're there, because 69 is the most exciting and the most mysterious period, the least amount of coverage of it. And so to be able to bring them in that time, and which is in terms of Zeppelin, this is like the coolest time. This is like when it's beginning. The clothes are amazing. The music is like groundbreaking and totally new and raw and exciting. And the audiences are like, a lot of the time are looking at these performances and going, what is this? So it's that energy before it's like codified, before people are like marching like Nuremberg to these gigs. This is where it's like, who are these guys? Where have they come from? And that's the excitement, and it's, seems like the film is doing that. When I wrote it and put it together, my goal with it, with my producing partner Alison McGordy and my editor Dan Gitlin, was essentially was like, I want to make something that when I was 13 I would want to go and see 4 or 5 times a year at my local Brixton Ritzy cinema, late night screening. And I'm already meeting people coming out of the theaters that have watched the film like 3 times already.
Unbelievable. Bernard MacMahon, director of the new documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, opens wide tomorrow. And I got to tell you, I've seen a lot of Led Zeppelin, quote unquote, documentaries, streaming, but you always know the band didn't have anything to do with it. The voiceover guy will talk about the band, and then they won't even play a song by Led Zeppelin. It's just, but not this one. This was actually sanctioned by the members of the band. How did that happen?
Yeah, and when they say sanctioned, what it means is, film companies use all this jargon and language. It just means they allowed us to make the movie, and they let us use the music. The amazing thing about this is they've given us complete artistic freedom, to make the movie. They haven't controlled it in any way. Yeah, what happened with this was I'd made this film series called American Epic about the first blues, gospel, country records, and we spent 10 years on that, and that Robert Redford supported that, produced it, and narrated it. And so when we started writing Led Zeppelin, this follow-up film, I just, with my producing partner, Alison McGordy, and my editor, Dan, we just wrote this script and what we wanted to see and started researching the archive. And a couple of people we talked to said, you're totally crazy. They'll never agree to this. And I just ignored them. And I went, I don't care. I think this is a great movie. I read this story about Led Zeppelin when I was in a little paperback book when I was 12, and it inspired me. Before I fell in love with their music, it inspired me. I want to put that story on the screen because it helped me. When I came to see them, it transpired the band were fans of this American Epic film of the 20s music. And John Paul Jones, he was the one that didn't know it, but as soon as he got the DVD, he loved it too. So I had their attention, because I'd done all that work and I'd really cared about that previous film that we'd made and had done it properly. And so when I presented this to them, they were like, okay, you go and make it, and we'll participate. And they brought all this archive that I'd never seen before, bags of photographs. They brought recordings that hadn't been released. I mean, you've seen the movie. When they're on screen, man, they're completely like giving it all. There is no self-consciousness, guile, or holding back at all. They're telling you like it is. This beginning part of the story, how they got from nowhere, these little kids, like every other kid, that all of us as we grew up, and they get to this point when January 1970, when they're the biggest band in the world. They tell that story, from Robert Plant's homelessness to Jimmy Page's hugely successful session career. They tell that story totally candidly. And I think that's what audiences are responding to. It's like they can tell these guys are not in any way filtering what they're telling you. And it's literally like you're in a private room with them and you're their nephew. That's how they're talking to you in this movie. And so I just think it's a really important message for now, which is that anyone can do these things. They're telling you how they did it, and it's the same with how the film was made. It's like, my message is, don't listen to all this stuff, all this negativity that's around at the moment, and people telling you, you got to do this on social media, and you got to do that, and these are all the rules, and blah, blah, blah. They broke all the rules, and they did it their way, and they didn't conform to any of the normal things that the music industry at the time told you have to do if you need to be successful. So it's like, believe in yourself. But this is the key. Collaborate with other people, like a small group of people, like they do. Maybe you've got nothing in common with them, but they've got individual talents, and the individual talents are greater than the sum of the parts. It's such an important message for now.
Well, I have a theory. Tell me what you think. A man can dream. This movie would be the perfect setup to the biggest reunion tour of all time, huh?
Absolutely. I would be primed. I mean, for such an event. I have no control over those things.
No.
They just. I'm just honored that they loved our work, and they gave us a control that none of those big groups have ever extended to a filmmaker. It's just unheard of. And so, just get it. Understand, this film, what you watch on that screen, I mean, it's like going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's like a trip. You've seen it. But what they're telling you, keep in mind, it's just their voices and John Bonham. But I did 175 background interviews with this film, to fact check and get the sense. So I talked to the guy that taught Jimmy his first 2 guitar chords. I talked to the engineers that recorded these records. I talked to the producers like Shel Talmy that hired Jimmy and John Paul Jones for the session work. There's a massive amount of background research that informs what you're seeing on the screen. This isn't just thrown together, man. There's a lot of thought, and they knew that we were going to put this thought into it. And I'm just saying, you guys out there, you too can do these things. You just put the work in. Try and cover every angle, and you will get the nod.
Congratulations again, Bernard MacMahon, director of the new documentary, Becoming Led Zeppelin, opens wide tomorrow. Have a great Valentine's Day. You deserve it. And come back soon to the Johnny Rock Show, okay?
Thank you so much, and all my love out to the great city that brought us Husker Du.
Oh, yes, Husker, Hoosker, Eusker Du.
Rockin' 101, the Johnny Rock Show in the morning on the Rock.